Hello, greetings. I'm Cindy Brannon, and this is an episode of the Keeping Her Keys podcast that focuses on the sovereign goddesses and the sovereign goddess ritual, and talks a little bit about why doing this ritual of sovereign power on the summer solstice is a really amazing way to just stand in the fullness, the brightness, the bold fire of the sun on the summer solstice, as a radical act of claiming empowerment, freedom, and wholeness. A little bit about the background of this ritual. So this ritual, I believe we're coming up on the third experience with this ritual within Keeping Her Keys and doing it as a large group. The ritual started one summer solstice when I was in my little space. I call it my witch grotto, behind my house in the woods. It's kind of this magical zone that I have set up where, I have like flags and different candles and, like different witchy things that I love. And I wanted to do a solar ritual. Now, if you follow my writing, I'm heavy on moonology and moon magic and some of the planets, I have deep affinity with. And for me, any kind of solar magic, any kind of solar ritual has been foreign to me and not something that I connected with. I don't really connect to solar energy. And when I was contemplating one year what I wanted to do for a summer solstice ritual in my little space in the woods, surrounded by, all the ferns and the poplars and the brambles and the apple tree and just all this beautiful energy of late spring, as I was thinking about the summer solstice, I was really inspired by this vision of reclaiming my own goddess self in the bold daylight, stepping out of the dark and saying that I can be a daywalker too, like as women, as wild women, which is whatever we identify with. Many of us really identify with the moon, right? That the moon is who we tell our secrets to. The moon is where we've found safety and solace. And there is something so resonant about performing a ritual under the moonlight, charging crystals under the moonlight, making moon water, drawing down the moon's power, all of these aspects of moonology that are just so intuitive to me. They are just like breathing. And I wanted to experience my own awakening and connection to the goddesses that I am closest to in the brightness of day. It was just one of those moments, those aha moments, like let's bring these goddesses who are often associated with the moon, let's bring them into the light of day, and I'm going to bring my true self into the light of day. And then that was, true power, right? It's true power when we don't have to hide who we are. That, that is sovereignty, when we can just walk this journey of ours, not just under the safety of the moonlight, but we can stand in the bold brilliance of day and say, this is who I am. And, it doesn't mean that we're going to be like screaming from the rooftops who we are and shoving it down other people's throats. It just means like being free within ourselves. Free within ourselves, that no matter what the world tries to force on it, no matter what chains they try to stick to us and wrap us in, that we are free within ourselves. And that is sovereignty, because the world is going to do what the world is going to do. And as sovereigns, what we do is choose how we walk through this world, how we break the chains that bind us, and how we protect ourselves through our great boundaries so we, don't accumulate chains that bind us. So here we are talking about this ritual all these years later, and it's just absolutely a pleasure to be able to lead so many others through this ritual, and to have the priestesses in Keeping Her Keys, summon and merge with these goddesses, and offering this as a DIY version that you can do on your own. If you can't join us live in the coven, and you can join the coven, of course, anytime, go to keepingherkeys.com/coven to learn more. So if you're familiar with my work, I often write about the great goddess Hekate. I have the Keeping Her Keys book out about Hekate. That's been such a phenomenon, and thank you for supporting it. And I also have my new book coming out this fall called Entering Hecate's Garden, which is all about Hekate and Circe and Medea and the plant spirit witchcraft that comes from them. So this ritual evokes and summons Hekate, Medea, and Circe, and also Artemis and Persephone. So if you go to my website, the keepingherkeys.com website, and hit /read, and look under the goddesses topic, you'll find the text version of this ritual, and you'll also find articles on all of these goddesses. And there's a whole page devoted to Hekate on the website that you can look at as well to learn more. So before we get to the kind of the guided walkthrough of this ritual, where I'll lead you through it, and you can do the ritual with me there beside you in spirit, I want to talk a little bit more about Hekate, Medea, Circe, Artemis, and Persephone, and some of their history, their lore, and how they are being reclaimed in our day as really just amazing goddesses that we all carry within us, and that we connect to, in the sense of these huge archetypal, embodied, beautiful forces that are the goddess. So Hekate is long associated with witchcraft, with women, with children. She's also associated with the underworld. She's a psychopomp, which means she's a guide of spirits back and forth to the spirit world. She is associated with her horde, and her horde is really like her squad of spirits that are rejected from the mainstream. So we see ghosts and creatures, that we might call goblins. We see these in the mythology. Women who were ostracized by society, the restless dead. Hecate's horde is this collection of spirits that were marginalized by traditional, religions. When we think back to her association with the ancient Greeks, and even before the ancient Greeks, and certainly the Romans, and then, of course, during the Christian era, Hekate and her witches, her horde, were really reviled. So Hekate has always been a goddess of the other, a goddess of the wild ones, a goddess of those who are practitioners of magic, who are seers, psychics, sibyls, who are pharmaca. They are practitioners of herbalism, that is magic, medicine, and mystery. And Hekate is a healer. Peonios is one of her most ancient titles. She's a goddess associated with the crossroads, which is always seen as kind of this very spiritual, liminal space between the physical world and the etheric world. And she is the keeper of the keys. And it's interesting how the ancients wrote about her being the keeper of the keys. So in different sources, whether it's a book about different magical practices, like in the Greek magical papyri, or a philosophical treatise, like in the Chaldean oracles, this title bestowed upon Hecate as the keeper of the keys really refers to her as world soul, that from her womb flows the very essence of the world. And so she keeps the keys. Symbolically, that means that when we are seeking magic, medicine, and mystery, we are claiming keys. When we are seeking personal empowerment and standing more in our own energy, our own chi, whatever you want to call it, our own prana, that we are getting into that soul essence, that deeper self, and that she is the source of the deeper self. She is the source of the deeper world. She is the source of the life force itself. She's Anima Mundi. And that's what Keeper of the Keys means. It has a very mystical, intuitive resonance for many, many of us. That when we say, "Oh, she's Keeper of the Keys," which was Kleidokus to the ancient Greeks, that this is about keeping keys, claiming keys, and holding on to the ones that are true to us. And that is also the keys of this deeper unseen world. And that is, her association as the goddess of witchcraft and keeper of the keys, they're one and the same, because her association with witchcraft, if we are looking at the history, it's really about this power of magic, medicine, and mystery, this power, and she is the source of this power. And certainly when we discuss the myths of Circe and Medea, who are sometimes portrayed in the mythology as her biological daughters, but always as her spiritual daughters. That Hecate is the witch mother. She is the source of this power. She is the source of this energy that is magic, medicine, and mystery. And that Circe and Medea were the ones who learned how to use this source, just like a mother teaches her children. And so in Entering Hecate's Garden, my book coming out this fall, I talk a lot about this as Circe and Medea being the pharmaca, that Circe is the original witch and Medea is the original poison queen. She is the one who has been poisoned, who poisoned others, and who has been so misunderstood and reviled. Her story has been really corrupted, and Circe's story has been corrupted, and their mother Hecate's story has largely been corrupted as well. So Circe and Medea, like I said, in the biological relationship between Hecate, Circe, and Medea varies according to the different myths, but there is always this kind of spiritual, familial, triple goddess association, that they are associated with pharmaca, which is the ancient term for sorcery, and of course, influences what we now know as pharmaceuticals, pharmacy, and the like. That's where the term comes from. So in my book, I really do a lot of reclaiming of pharmaca, pharmakeia, pharmakoi, and talking about, the kind of the spiritual lineage that those of us who practice what we might call witchcraft, that is really about healing and empowerment, that it's not about harming anyone, or it's not about, kind of petty, I really want a BMW kind of, it's a deep spiritual kind of witchcraft that is very much like honoring our ancestral lineage of Circe and Medea. Medea's story, of course, is a one that we know about, and it's often like Medea killed her kids, and she did this, and she was so evil, and she was so horrible. And Medea can be super intimidating if this is all we know about Medea. But Medea lives within us. Medea is the energy of our wound. That's who Medea is. Hecate is the wise mother, and Medea is the daughter who has been so wounded. She's been cheated, she's been tricked, she's been lied to. And then the story that everybody tells, the gossip, is not at all what actually happened. Circe has a similar story where in the Odyssey and other stories, she's painted to be the one, who turned men to pigs, who tricked Odysseus. And because, like when you look at who is telling these stories, we're looking at these stories are being told by men of power who really just sought to keep women from their power and to keep women from their natural medicine, which is to connect, to the energy of plant spirits, the earth, and to use that for healing and abundance and wholeness and sovereignty. So often we've heard about, the great book by Madeline Miller, Circe. If you haven't read that novel yet, it is powerful. It will awaken the Circe within you because she's in, like the Medea is in all of us, like Hecate as the wise mother is within all of us. So is Circe, the witch, within all of us. She's when we make those little bowls of blessings to someone. She's when we find a way, when we get isolated and rejected, that we use that time when we're stuck to really grow in our own power, to turn inwards and to understand our own abilities. That's Circe. Circe was not, this horrible woman who randomly turned men into pigs. Even if you look at the mythos, the men she turned into pigs, she didn't turn them into anything. They were already acting like pigs, and she revealed them for what they truly were. Artemis is also really connected to Hecate in history, so much so that in many of the ancient sources, they're assigned similar attributes, similar abilities. Artemis was really a diverse and complex goddess in the ancient Mediterranean. Now, of course, here in the 21st century, because of pop culture, because of kind of the understanding of Diana, who was Artemis's Roman incarnation, that we see her kind of as this young maiden, kind of running around in the woods. But she was so much more. Artemis is the spirit of the wild that is within each and every one of us. And sometimes that is a youthful wildness. It is cavorting with nymphs, a hunt, and so on. But Artemis's wildness is also much more mature. It is claiming your own space, living life according to your own rules, being sovereign and free. Artemis is really about that freedom aspect of sovereignty. And Persephone, just like Artemis has kind of been redacted to just a stereotype of this young woman running around doing whatever she wants, Persephone is often relegated to just being to what the ancients would have been called the Kore, or the maiden. Persephone in the mythology, in the history, is so much more. She is the embodied woman who has suffered greatly, has leaned into it, and has twisted what was done to hurt her into her power. And so she's a warrior. She is an emotional warrior. She's a survivor. Persephone's battlefield was being relegated to hell and then becoming a true queen of it and owning her responsibility. If you look at the mythology about setting the seasons, and Hecate, of course, as the wise mother, became Persephone's guardian to and from the underworld, And thus, we see more evidence of Hecate as the keeper of the keys, and that she is the one who is guiding Persephone back and forth. So that is the 5 sovereign goddesses. Hecate as the wise mother, Circe as the eternal witch, Medea as the wounded one, Persephone as the warrior, and Artemis as the wild one. This ritual opens you up to all of those aspects within you while connecting to the goddesses as they are in the deeper unseen world. There is so many ways you can prepare for this ritual. In the coven, we do workshops and different things to get ready. We make poppets, we make a sovereignty oil. We have different discussions. We talk about the 5 queens of the tarot. We talk about the astrology of each of these 5 queens and how, based on our sun sign, we experience each of them. And so we take a good chunk of time, a good month, to experience this ritual process. If you are doing it on your own, I do encourage you to take your time with it. If you're just finding out about this in the solstices today, for example, you can go back and do those things afterwards. You don't have to have everything done in advance. This ritual is, like I said, I developed it for doing as a solar ritual. That being said, do it as a full moon ritual. Do it when the mood feels right for you. That is perhaps the first act of claiming your sovereignty and saying, you know what, I'm going to do this ritual under the full moon. You know what, I'm going to do this ritual this way. I'm going to put my earbuds in and I'm going to go to the beach and find a quiet spot and just be with this ritual in this place. So really, however you want to do it. It is lovely, of course, if you can create a beautiful sovereignty altar. You can look in the Keeping Her Keys book, to learn more about some of the plants of Hecate's garden. And if you're in the coven, we have lots in our Pharmakeia course. Beautiful plants of empowerment. Olive oil is fantastic. Rose, of course. Lavender, mugwort, bay laurel, and sage are just fantastic for working with the energies of this ritual. Purple is a great color to wear because purple is the sovereign color, and layering the number 5, since we are evoking these 5 aspects, these 5 queens within us, and connecting to them in their goddess form within the deeper world. So it's great to layer, create an altar that uses the number 5. And if you wanted to get more into the symbolism and the correspondences for each of the goddesses, just head on over to the website, keepingherkeys.com/read, and you can look at those articles. In the Coven, in our Dea course, the Awakening Goddess course, you'll find in-depth lessons on this ritual and also on each of the 5 goddesses. So you can use those sources to inspire you to create an altar, to inspire you to, how you are going to adorn yourself for the ritual, what kind of offerings you might want to offer them that you can partake in as well, because, we are of the goddess. These goddesses are all within us. And we make the offerings not just to them and leave them for them to eat, but we share in the offerings. So great summer food. And there's a lot of recipes in Entering Hecate's Garden. So when it comes out, you'll be able to prepare like all the elements of a Hecate's feast if you go through the whole book. So, make a goddess salad, make I think 2 moons, get some healthy grains and whatever kind of protein you like, and have a big Hecate's feast for yourself and these goddesses as part of the ritual. In the coven, we do a really specific set of techniques that are known as the triformous ceremony, and that is how we do what you might call casting a circle. So we begin with Kernips, which is the unification of water, smoke, and materia medica, plant spirits, because that symbolizes like the four elements and the three worlds. It's the divine, sacred wholeness. And we use that to banish all that blocks and binds. So that's how we cast the circle. So, if you're not in the coven, cast the circle however you feel comfortable. There is, I think on the YouTube, I did a COVID-19 ritual, and I kind of, like, I do the whole Kernips process. I do the whole triformous ceremony. So if you're not in the coven, you want to say, hey, what is this ceremony? You can find that COVID-19 video and look at the performance of the ceremony that way to adapt it, for your own working. Totally, make sure you are cleansed in body, mind, and spirit before going into ritual, always. Salt scrub, maybe with a little bit of activated charcoal, is our purification process, and it really resonates, really gets you clean. There's lots of resources on this within the coven, and if you're in the Sacred Seven or the Mistai, those courses that I teach, you'll be familiar with these techniques. If you're new to those courses, you can just reach out to your coach, and she'll help you, find the right resources if you want to do something that's more in keeping with your lessons in those programs. And then, so the triformous ceremony, we begin with the banishment, then we move on to protection, which is basically closing off the sacred space. And we do this with the sacred flame, a sacred candle. And, when we do this as a group ritual, we have all of our fire keepers or torchbearers, is what we call them. And, they create the space all around us where we're nourished by the sacred flame and protected from all that harms. And then the blessing is the medicine of the ritual. So I am going to allow you to get into your space, create that sacred circle, banish what blocks you. Do that first, always. We always banish, we always cleanse first, and then we protect. Banish, then protect, then bless. You banish what doesn't serve, and then you do the protection, and that way you're not encapsulating anything harmful. And then after you do the protection, then you move on to the blessing. And like I said, there's so many different ways to do this. So get all that ready, get your space ready, get your altar ready. And if the way for you to do this ritual is lying on your bed in a place that is safe and appropriate for you, like if you're if you have chronic pain or anything, don't feel that you have to be standing in the bold sunlight with your arms in the air. If that is not appropriate for you, if you can't create an altar, physical altar, spend some time, a couple of days before, just creating this in your mind. Because our minds are so powerful. And if on your bedside table, you can have a candle, or, you can put on something purple, and then just rest easy. Rest easy. Do what is right for you. And don't allow anyone to say different, that, a ritual has to be done this way or that way. If you need to be in your bed to do a ritual, do it. The sun's energy is still going to be there. These goddesses are within you, and that is how we connect to them, by going inwards to them. So let's just take some time here. I'll take a little break so you can have a good pause point before we come back into the actual walkthrough of the ritual. Shall we begin? This is a ritual of sovereignty, evoking and summoning and merging with the sovereign goddesses. Let's begin. I'll speak and hold space so you can repeat after me. Let's just breathe together for a moment, releasing all that blocks and binds us, clearing our energetic field, just allowing your roots to extend into the earth. And just allowing that release to happen. And seeing those roots as your tether so you can go deeper into yourself and ascend into the energy of the goddesses. Now let's come together heart to heart at our heart center. I am offering you this ritual out of sincerity and authenticity, and I offer it for your highest good. I offer it in gratitude and in trust, and I offer it as a priestess of the goddess whose work is to be an educator. So let's just connect. Opening your heart to the goddesses within you, opening your heart to their energy around you. And let's just engage in this circle you and I are creating, welcoming in those goddesses, lighting the sacred flame. We're protected and safe. You are protected and safe in this space. This is a space of sovereignty, freedom, and wholeness. Now let's stretch way up into our highest self, clearing our mind, allowing any troubles in our mind to slide down towards those roots, and any troubles in our heart sliding down to those roots and being released here. Beautiful. Getting into that state of calmness, awareness. Now we're going to stretch up our branches to the starry road, to that beautiful sun, that brightest star in the sky. Feeling its nourishing warmth as the blessing of this ritual starts to enter your field. The healing starts, the empowerment starts. And now let's begin to awaken the goddesses. Come, goddesses and witches, ancient but new, to this place I beckon you. Artemis, Medea, Persephone, Circe, Hekate, I welcome you. And you can blow them a kiss. And that kiss awakens the goddess within. Artemis, fierce and free, may your wildness run through me. And just see yourself kissing Artemis. And you can use the thumb of your dominant hand to seal that kiss. And see a beautiful flame being lit, awakening the Artemis within you, calling her forth, the huntress, the wild one, the rebel, she who lives by her own rules, just allowing that energy to come in. Seeing that flame, that Artemis flame. And allowing that flame just to burn within you. Medea, raging witch of might, through you my wounds now take flight. Use your index finger to awaken the power of Medea's healing within you and to welcome her into your field. And see the beautiful candle of Medea, the power of the healer, the power of the poison that heals, of recovery and release from your wounds through great Medea. And Medea's medicine is that of emotional healing. And allow that flame just to course through you, reclaiming, restoring, awakening your own power as a healer, as she who understands that poisons heal. And that wounds can be medicine, and we can heal from them. Medea also brings to us boundaries and teachings through her experiences so that we may be more sovereign and true as healers of ourselves and others. Persephone, queen of the deep, your power as a resilient warrior I do keep. And you can kiss the middle finger of your dominant hand, awakening the power of this emotional warrior within you, the true queen who leans into difficult situations and rises strong. This is Persephone's medicine. She is the warrior, the survivor, the overcomer, the persister. And you can see the beautiful flame of Persephone on your mind's eye, and just allow this medicine of this flame to settle through you, empowering you, rising strong. Circe, sorceress divine, I claim your witchery, making it mine. And you can kiss Circe with the ring finger of your dominant hand, awakening the power of the witch within you, and welcoming her to your field, to your energy, to speak soul to soul as she joins Artemis and Medea and Persephone, Circe. And her flame burns within you, empowering you with the sovereignty of the free witch. And you can feel the energy of all four of these amazing queens awakened within you. And now we call forth the source of all things, the keeper of the keys herself, awakening the eternal primal wisdom within the source, the one, from whose womb all things flow. Hekate, she who holds the keys, grant me your wisdom, may I truly see. And take the small finger, your pinky finger of your dominant hand, to awaken the power of the wise one within and to connect to her. And if you're able, now is a good time to raise your dominant hand up and then slide it down so it points to the earth beneath, and lower your dominant hand and then raise it up. So you've got one hand pointing straight down and one hand pointing straight up, and allowing yourself just to fully awaken these goddesses within you, standing in this position, root tethered, branches drawing in the solar energy, heart open and connected. Now you can return your hands to heart center if you're able. Great goddesses and witches, ancient but new, I claim my sovereignty now, standing before you. Great goddesses and witches, ancient but new, I claim my sovereignty now, standing before you. Deep in my heart, I honor all of you, Artemis, Medea, Persephone, Circe, Hekate. Now feel the awakened energy within you and see those flames burning in your mind's eye or on your altar if you have them there in front of you, and just connecting to the flame and going deeper and deeper into this awakening while you're drawing in that solar energy, if you're doing this on the solstice, or the moon energy, just connecting to the natural, nourishing, protective energy of the cosmos, the source. Now, if you like, as you're experiencing this ritual, you can pull out your tarot cards or your oracle cards and allow their wisdom to speak through the cards, or you can just stay in this space and allow them to speak to you as you study the flames. Now I invite you to stay in this space with me for as long as you desire. And when you are ready to leave, you can just express your gratitude, Great goddesses, I have stead and boldly proclaimed my sovereignty, and I thank you for your awakening within me, for your magic, medicine, and mystery. And let's pull up our roots. And let's pull down our branches from the sun. And let's disengage our heart centers from each other and from the goddesses, finishing the ritual part. And the medicine has been received. Now is a great time to have your Hecate's feast. Study your tarot cards if you did that part of the ritual. Journal, write, make a collage of what you've received. So many beautiful things that you can do. Dive more into, the lessons that I have out there on the ritual and the Fab Five, as I call them. And just give yourself some space. So this ritual takes about 3 or 4 weeks to really process, to really let the goddess's medicine come in. It's like the summer solstice. It is an event, and then its medicine is received like within the next 6 weeks after the event. So allow the medicine to come in, allow your sovereignty to really become firm within you. Take good care of yourself. Use this medicine to engage in ways of becoming more empowered, of being more whole, even if they are simple ways that are only obvious to you. Go out and do those things. I hope you are well blessed by this ritual. If you've enjoyed this episode of the Keeping Her Keys podcast and connecting with me to our beloved sovereign goddesses, I invite you to join the Kavina Institute, my school, where we walk the wheel of the year through rituals, lessons, discussions, sacred creativity, and our fabulous live events, including our moon salons where we explore dreams, divination, and so much more. You can learn more about Kavina and all of my work at keepingherkeys.com.